The ranch is heading to Las Vegas for the National Finals Rodeo.
Okay, so we've been talking about this for years, actually for the last 15 minutes, but we've got a special guest right now. Ross Cooper is a great musician. He is out of Texas, and he has got gigs all over Vegas, and we are very lucky because you get to see him on the ranch stage today. So come by. We are booth number 30058. You'll know us by the good-looking dude playing guitar up here. So, Ross Cooper, I'm so glad to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Now, you are doing Vegas a little bit differently than some people. I mean, you're talking about this strange working out and running and hydrating. What is this?
This is my 12th year to come to Vegas. When I first started coming here, I was rodeoing, and so when I first started making my first trips to Vegas, I dreamed of making the NFR. And so the first year I came here was my rookie year, and I was 18, and I just took it all in, and I partied pretty hard between 18 and 21, and I got all that out of the way in my early years. And then, life changes a good bit, and music completely took over, and I feel better if I stay on a routine. Now, that's not to say that Vegas isn't going to probably beat me at some point between now and when I leave. There's going to absolutely be some wild nights. But early in the week, I do a lot better if I try to maintain some sense of routine. Otherwise, I will go crazy. It's dry up here, so I'll lose my voice. And, yeah, those are things I can control.
I got to say, of all the artists who have been on the ranch stage, I think your eyes look the clearest.
I got I got 9.5 hours of sleep last night.
Look at you.
Yeah.
You seem perky. Okay, I got to go back to this rodeo thing, though.
Yeah.
So you've actually ridden in the NFR.
No. Sorry, that was my mistake. No, I pro rodeoed, and I was always trying to make the NFR. So when I first started coming here, I was an 18-year-old kid with stars in my eyes, and this was the goal. And I was playing music, and I had put out a record by that point, but that wasn't truly the main focus. Then it was this balance and this juggle of rodeoing and playing music. And when I first came out here, it was to experience Vegas and experience the NFR for the first time. And then music later in my life just kept bringing me back. And
Yeah, at some point you got to listen to where you are guided.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. It was always those two things,
So what was your event in rodeo?
I rode bareback horses.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, so I guess you had a lot of trouble getting dates because you were this rodeo cowboy and you also play guitar and sing. It must have been terrible to never get a date.
I don't think parents liked me very much. I think, well, it's just, that doesn't hold a lot of water. It's neither one of those careers pay a whole lot.
Well, I'm so glad to see how well you're doing now. And you got a gig tonight. You're playing with Randall King?
Yeah, so Randall hosts what he calls Tonk Vegas at Stoney's. And I think it's going to be split up into 3 riders rounds, so 3 song swaps. It's myself and Jake Jacobson kicking it off, and then it's I think Mae Estes and Wynn Williams and Kylie Fry, and then the last round is Randall, Josh Abbott, and I think Clint Daniels. So it'll be stacked.
That's going to be nice. So what are you first? Songwriter, performer?
Always songwriter.
Yeah.
I got into this because, I know that the first song that I wrote, I was 10, and I wrote it with my mom, and it was a piece of trash song, because I was 10 years old.
Will you sing it today?
No,
please.
No. I truly don't remember it. It's somewhere in my mother's piano bench. I know it's there, but I always gravitated towards that. When you start singing before, you turn 13 or 14, you probably don't have that good of a voice. At least I didn't. So, the focus was always, and I looked up to songwriters, and I listened to songwriters, and I never listened to anything that was, top 40 at that, point in my life outside of top 40 country radio. But back in those days, it was Mark Chestnut, Alan Jackson, George, et cetera, and all these phenomenal voices, yada yada. But outside of that, I was lucky in that I think my parents just kind of through osmosis kind of guided me to listen to really good songwriters. I remember my mom was like a Flatlanders fan for forever. I mean, if you're a woman over the age of 45, 50 years old, and you grew up around West Texas, you probably had a crush on Joe Ely at some point.
Yep.
And so my mom was a big Joe Ely fan, so Flatlanders, etc. And so I remember listening to those songs early on, and she always had a phenomenal ear for great songwriting. And my dad really dug ZZ Top because, again, if you're a man, over the age of 45 or 50 in Texas, your favorite band's probably gonna be ZZ Top.
It's required.
But then the Mavericks put out that debut record, and I think it was probably 93 or 94, and we didn't change it. That was the album that we kept listening to.
Yes.
So between the Mavericks, ZZ Top, and Joe Ely, I had this amalgamation of phenomenal music, and really good examples of here's how music can be big sounding, but really well written. So that was always the goal from the beginning.
So you've got this great musical background where you're guided by your parents and a lot of the influences of where you grew up, and then you've got this rodeo background. I mean, nobody could say that you aren't a real cowboy. Does that help, do you think, as you continue to grow in country music? Do you see a difference between, say, what you may understand and write in country music versus folks who may not necessarily know what a quarter horse is?
So, great question. First
you.
of all, I'll preface my answer by saying, like what you like, and explore what you're interested in for sure. But so I put out this record on my last record, or my newest album that just came out in September. It's called "Everybody Wants to Be a Cowboy," and the hook is "Everybody wants to be a cowboy until it's time to do cowboy." Expletive, So, anyway, but it kind of talks about that. Cowboy culture and Western culture, thankfully for the industry, has been so kind of in vogue. It's been very popular for the first time since probably the late 70s, early 80s. We had this huge resurgence of the popularity of cowboy culture and Western culture, and we see it in movies and television and music. But with that, the product of that, of course, you're going to get people that are writing these songs and creating this content, that it's been a pull quote that people have pulled off my bio from on the website that, I have jokingly said, those same people that you see it a lot in top 40. It'll be these love songs, but where the buzzwords used to be tailgate, etc. They're now replaced with, cowgirl sliding next to me. And it's using these buzzwords, and these people that are writing it don't know the difference between a steer and a heifer.
Yes.
And that's kind of the.
And sometimes you can tell in the music, but I'll tell you, you can tell in the interviews a lot
Sure.
when you talk to them. Speaking of interviews, I have talked to you for such a long time because you are fascinating to
I
talk
don't
to,
think so.
but I know that your fans also want to hear some music.
I would love to play.
Are you up
Absolutely.
for playing on the ranch stage?
Of course, yeah.
Okay. Guys, this is Ross Cooper, and he's got a guitar, so just hang tight.